שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שיר לאדוני, שיר לאדוני, שיר לאדוני. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני, שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני, כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בסרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, לכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומהולל מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, How sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov u'manayim she'erachim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim she'erachim gam yachad. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. How good it is, how good it is, how sweet it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how good it is, how sweet it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hine matov u'manayim she'erachim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim she'erachim gam yachad. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shabbat shalom. With Passover fully behind us, we can now engage in the Jewish tradition, I know Rabbi Jurgen's favorite, of counting the Omer. 49 days from the beginning of Passover until we reach Shavuot, which is in June this year, initially a practical agricultural tool commanded in the book of Leviticus. It has become a meaningful way to mark time, express gratitude, refocus priorities, and contemplate deeply the meaning and purpose of our existence. As Sfas Emes teaches, just as all the crops are ripened during the day of counting, so too is the life of man revealed during this time. For all of it is but an allusion to the way of the inner life. This past week, we observed Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Memorial Day, always a somber time as we reflect on the impact that 6 million lives lost has made on the world and the Jewish people. It feels like it felt unusually close to Passover this year, leaving me to reflect on the tension between freedom and slavery, loss and rebirth, darkness and light. So as we begin our worship tonight, I invite you to reflect on the dichotomies in your own life and in the world. How can we find joy and gratitude even if we carry a heavy burden of sorrow or worry? How do we make space for Jewish rituals, traditions, and community that can provide us uplift and solace with the pressures of the rest of our lives always present? Tonight begins the 29th day of Nisan, which is the 14th day of the Omer. The blessing is as follows. It was actually in my Thursday Devar Torah, so if you're interested, you can go and see it there. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer. Praise be you, Adonai, our God, who rules the universe, instilling within us the holiness of mitzvot by commanding us to count the Omer. Today is the 14th day, week 2 of the Omer. May this Shabbat be one of great awareness of counting our blessings and sharing them with others. Amen. So we turn now to page 3 in our Sidurim, our prayer books. It's my pleasure to invite up Amy Strickland to offer the reading before we kindle our Sabbath lights.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge with which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and into our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us in acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech Shabbat.
Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, ruling spirit of the universe, who has commanded us to kindle the Sabbath lights. Amen.
Please join me on page 5 with Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'rotzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho v'avo uvratzon inchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikroe kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amin, v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabat.
Chaim. We turn now to page 13 as we welcome Shabbat with song from the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat, Shiru Ladonai.
So this is a new melody, perhaps Moroccan, and I'm going to, the words you've heard before, the chorus is the first 2 lines on page 13. Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, sing to Adonai, a new song, sing to God, all the earth. So I'm going to teach you the chorus so that you can join in. I think it's simple, and I hope you'll pick it up really quick. Shir Ladonai, Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Shir Ladonai, Kol haaretz, Kol haaretz, Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Kol haaretz. Let's try the whole thing. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Kol haaretz. One more time. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Kol haaretz. My turn. Shir Ladonai, Baruch Shemo, Basru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Kol haaretz. Sapra v'goyim kevodo, bechol ha'amim niflaotav. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Kol haaretz. Last time. Shir Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Ladonai, Kol haaretz. And now just go down to the bottom paragraph, a song I hope you know. Yismechu Hashemayim, as we, on this day of joy, Shabbat, as we are celebrating in joy on earth, also in the heavens, they are celebrating in joy. Yismechu Hashemayim, Yismechu Hashemayim,
Turn now to page 20 as we get ready to welcome the Sabbath bride singing Lecha Dodi. We'll sing verses 1 and 2, 5 and 9, and when we reach verse 9, Bo'iva Shalom, we rise as a congregation, turning to face the entrance of our sanctuary to welcome, to beckon that Sabbath bride, that Shabbat spirit that we feel when we sing together as one. And whether you're here with us in the Wolf Sanctuary or joining us on live stream, we hope you will sing out in joy so that the Sabbath bride hears you and wants to join us in our Shabbos celebration. Sing with us. Turn to those around you, wish them a Shabbat Shalom. Let them know you are glad they're here.
We continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 26 as we remain standing through Shema. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma potach sha'arim, uvitzvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakira kirtsono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, Umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzvaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, Tamid imloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv aravim. On the top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Baruch Shem kevod malchuto le'olam va'ed. You may be seated. Please join me on page 36 with the Haftarah. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
On the bottom of page 39, we read responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Page 43, we read together at the top. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, Al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Shabbat, לעשות את השבת. השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם. וביום השביעי וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותיו, ברית עולם.
We rise now for the tefillah on page 46.
Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh Kol Atah Rav Lehoshia. Morid Atah, Mechakel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayeh Hakol Berachamim Rabim. Samech Noflim Verofeh Cholim. Umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishene afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umido melech, melech mevit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'neman atala chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh shemcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, hakadosh.
You may be seated. On the top of page 55, we read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. On the bottom of page 57. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levarecha b'yirah na'avod. On page 58, we share in Hoda'ah, our prayer for Thanksgiving, together. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, we forever put our hope in you. For all these things, O sovereign, let your name be forever praised and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Blessed are you, Adonai, your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving. Baruch atah Adonai hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lechodot. In the place of our Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace, we're going to share in a prayer for the world. It is on your order of service. A poem by Alden Solovey adapted for this moment, thinking of all those in need of peace in the world, especially in Ukraine and also in the state of Israel. Join with me. God of compassion, put an end to the war in Ukraine and all wars throughout the world. Look with favor on the refugees, the homeless, the wounded, the suffering, the starving, and the newly bereaved. Grant a perfect rest under your canopy of peace to those who have perished at the ugly hand of war. Extend your canopy of peace from the highest heavens to this earth. God of peace, release the citizens of Ukraine from occupation and war. Grant them resilience and vitality. Give them comfort and hope. End this violence and suffering for life renewed, for healing and building, for a better world. Let justice come in waves like water and righteousness flow like a river, so that nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. We're on the right page. We're going to continue now with prayers for healing. And I'll invite Cantor Berlin up as we prepare ourselves. If there's someone in your life, someone you hold in your heart, someone on your mind in need of healing, I invite you to think of them now. Close your eyes if you want, to picture them and whisper their names out loud. And so we sing together our prayer for healing this evening, El Na Refana La. God, I pray, heal her. God, I pray, heal us.
Dear God of our ancestors,
Dear God of our ancestors,
help us renew our faith.
help us renew our faith.
Grant us a perfect healing.
Grant us a perfect healing.
please take a moment for your own silent meditations. Shalom b'Roma, Hu yaseh shalom, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, yaseh shalom aleinu. Oseh shalom b'Roma, Hu yaseh shalom, Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al
This morning, I met with a UTSA student in a world religions class who was assigned to interview 3 or 4 religious leaders. Ahead of our appointment, she sent me the questions that she'd be asking. Some were typical, like, were you raised in a Jewish household or was it something you were called to later in life? Which, yes, is a very typical question I get from students doing this kind of work. Other questions I chuckled at, like, do you feel it is your mission as a rabbi to spread the word of God? When I spoke to her on Zoom, I told her that I laughed at the question because we don't proselytize, and that framing, to me, very much reflected proselytizing. I also explained that for me, I feel that my role as a rabbi is to share the foundations, the teachings, and traditions of Judaism, combined with my love of Judaism, my encouragement to question everything, and my modern examination of Judaism. I'm not sure how much that explanation made sense to her, but it's something that stuck in my head. As Jews, there are so many layers to our identity. Religion, theology, language, food, ethnic traditions, music, ritual, liturgy, and the list goes on, and some of those overlap. Some of them might change based on where your ancestors were from or where you're living right now. We are not a set group of people who never adapt, and that goes for all Jews, even though when using adaptability, it is automatically assumed that we are only talking about Reform Judaism. But long before the beginning of Reform Judaism, the Talmudic rabbis remind us that we are to follow the laws of the country that we are residing in and maintain our Judaism. In 2013, the Pew Research Center released a study about American Jews. The Jewish world was up in arms. The summary of the study then seemed to paint the picture that Jews didn't care about being Jewish. However, in the follow-up of the 2020 report from Pew, we see that this just isn't true. I think the first question the readers of the Pew reports need to think about is, what is a Jew? There are so many ways to define Judaism, it's hard to answer that one question with a simple answer. If we go the route of religion, the numbers from the report make it seem like Jews care less about religion than other Americans. 21% of Jews to 41% of Americans say religion is very important to them. But if we look at the other questions that Jews were asked, we get a little bit of a different picture. Respondents were asked how often they attend religious services in a synagogue or a less formal setting. 12% of Jewish Americans chose at least weekly, and 27% of Americans in general said they attended religious services weekly or more. Honestly, I feel like this is an unfair comparison. A synagogue is only one place someone can go to be Jewish. So many of our holiday rituals and traditions are centered around the home, around community. We don't require, but obviously encourage, attendance at Shabbat services. In other religions, like Christianity, for example, some of the church members fear that they will be considered sinners if they do not attend services weekly. I don't think that this is a flaw either way. It is just the way the norms of the different religions are formed. As I say to people all the time when they start to apologize for not coming to services very often, I don't take attendance. Would I love to have the sanctuary full every Shabbat? Of course. Do I feel that it is a religious obligation for all Jews to come to synagogue for Shabbat? No. And frankly, neither does Torah. This Shabbat, we are reading the second half of Acharei Mot, a section of Leviticus that has many laws, specifically around sexual prohibitions. To set the scene for the prohibitions, it says, God spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, I, Adonai, am your God. You shall not copy the practices of the land of Egypt where you dwelt, or of the land of Canaan to which I am taking you, nor shall you follow their laws. My rules alone shall you observe, and faithfully follow my laws. I, Adonai, am your God." This section jumped out at me because this hits on the Pew study as it explores American Jews and seems to almost go against what the Talmudic rabbis say about following the laws of the place that you live. So how do we understand these verses as American Jews in 2022? We talk about how Reformed Jews are assimilated Jews. And to me, I think it's a good thing. We pride ourselves on maintaining Judaism in our lives in whatever way that may be, while still being part of the society that we live in. Assimilation of Jews has not always been considered a good thing outside of Reform Judaism. There is an inherent fear that Judaism will disappear because it is thought that assimilation means losing Judaism altogether. Todd Endelman, a Jewish history professor at the University of Michigan, suggests in his book, Leaving the Jewish Fold, Conversion and Radical Assimilation in Modern Jewish History, that assimilation can refer to Jews converting to a different religion, seceding from Judaism, intermarrying, and passing as a non-Jew. All of these showing how assimilation makes Jews move away from Judaism in a radical way. I prefer to side with Monika Richters, a German historian and professor who studies the social history of Jews in Germany. In a piece she wrote on this topic, she explained that there is a difference between assimilation and acculturation. Assimilation is to be understood as radical adjustment, even to the point of absorption, whereas acculturation is a less radical and more academic term, which implies that people accept a new culture or part of it, but do not give up completely their own traditions. This makes sense to me, both from a modern understanding of who we are as Jews and even what I would say Torah wanted us to learn. In its warning from God to not copy the practices of Egypt or Canaan, Torah doesn't say that we still can't live in that society and learn from those cultures. I would argue, as do Rashi and Abraham Ibn Ezra, two of our prolific commentators on Torah, that it is to remind us, this verse from Torah is to remind us not to fall into corrupt behavior. This especially makes sense in the context of the verses that are to come, which focus on these sexual prohibitions, as if those were the examples of things that were happening in Egypt and Canaan that God warned us against and didn't want us to engage in. I want to take it a step further. Torah is reminding us that just because we are on a physical and geographical journey to a new place in Torah, we have to remember who we truly are and not lose our Jewish identity. We are learners, seekers, adapters, Americans, and we are Jewish. Each of us are on our own Jewish journey. The journey is full of zigzags, not ups and downs, changing directions for us to explore who we are, who we want to be, and what that means in the context of Judaism. So I ask you, what does your Jewish identity look like? What is important to your Judaism today? How will that change tomorrow? What do you want your Jewish journey to look like? And what can you do to enhance that journey? Shabbat Shalom.
We continue with the concluding portion of our service. Please rise for Aleinu on page 283. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא עשה כלפינו ליחד את שמו, וגוי עלינו להמליך מלכותו. אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד, אין עוד. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. אין עוד, 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 אין עוד.
You may be seated. As we turn to page 293 for our memorial meditation, we note with sadness the death of Carol Blonder, mother of Henry and Sophie Barkley and Max Barkley, daughter of Shirley Blonder, sister of Leslie and John Tramer and Marilyn Opus, aunt of Anne, Jonathan Brownlee, Liz Tramer, and Elise Opus. In recognition of Yom HaShoah, Yizkor, we remember. Remember our people who suffered and died so that we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow. For their dreams left unfulfilled and lives taken too soon, we remember. Remember our brothers and sisters whose sacrifice kept the dream of democracy and justice alive. May their courage be our inspiration and strength.
For life cut short and vision unrealized, we remember.
Remember the fallen of our armed services, the victims of terror and tragedy. May the darkness of their loss not obscure the light of peace. They were in love with our land and in love with life.
For the agony, the tears, the mothers and the fathers, for the children who were and for the children yet to be, we remember.
On this Shabbat, we consecrate the yard sites observed in our community this week of Anna S. Ahrens, Albert Alwiel, Benson Apotheker, Fanny Baden, Ozzie Baum, Frank Brenner, Austin Brown, Billy Eugene Cooper, Earl Croman, Mildred Emily Dan, Esther Rubenstein Daub, May Adelman Davidson, Rose Danyo, Steve Deutschman, Charlie Featherston, Herzl Feinsilver, Dorothy Friedlander, Louis Friedman, Don Gernsbacher, Gregory Gilbert, Robert D. Glickenhaus, Bertha Greenfield, Joyce Veely Gregory, Mervyn Gregory, Arthur Gerwitz, Harold T. Heller, Dr. Charles Hilton, Francis Jenkins, Rebecca Kamen, Ann Karatkin, Fanny Kasanoff, Fabian Eduardo Kogan, Erwin Kurtz, Jean Katz Ladenson, Ruben Langbaum, Barbara Lanzette, Herbert Lane, Jewel Lebo, Marcus Lefton, Gertrude Levine, Mary Loomis, Ellen Mandel, Tressie Long Offinger, John Ree, Cesar Rainier Rivera, Linda Bretler Rosenthal, Marion Rosenthal, Joseph Rubin, William Schwartz, Grace Seligman, Hortense Ruth Friedis Sirota, Ben Silberman, Seymour Tabin, Sean Thomas, Eileen Truhaft, Abraham Vexler, Hayden Weissman, Peyton Weissman, Ada Wolf, Saul Zanar, and Harold Zimmerman. To their memories, we link the memories of those who in the last 30 days, Shloshim, have been laid to their eternal rest. Stacy Marin de la Grana, Joan Myers, Joanne Bronstein, Sylvia Cohen, Edward Halfant, James Tarantino, and Aaron Kyle Conley. And to their names, we link the memory of one who died this past week, his family in a period of Shiva, Stanley Langford, father of Brandy Langford and grandfather of Lacey Toll. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be for blessing along with the memories of those who we hold in our own hearts each and every day. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we rise together, one congregation, turning to page 294 as we share in the words of the Mourner's Kaddish together. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach hiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'zman kariv v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah b'rechu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, ta'amiram be'alma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, to which we say, amen. You may be seated. I am delighted to invite up Rabbi Yergin, who will share some brief announcements about all the things that are going on. But by the way, I just want to say 4 p.m. pretty much on the dot every Thursday, weekly email.
True.
All the stuff right there with live links. It's amazing.
So here are the highlights.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank Amy Strickland for lighting our Shabbat candles, and obviously our Temple Beth-El band. So that is Rabbi Berlin, Rami, Brandon, Dan, Aaron, and Greg. Thank you. Rocking out up here. It was wonderful.
And welcome back, Aaron.
Yes, and welcome back, Aaron, from maternity leave. We are continuing our pre-Shabbat oneg every Friday. We are moving it to 6 o'clock instead of 5:45. It's a little hard for a lot of people to get here at 5:45, so 6 o'clock. Come grab a little nosh, a little schmooze, maybe a little wine. Then on Tuesday, May 3rd at 7 is our Temple Beth-El annual meeting, and you can come here in person or join us on Zoom. All of that information is online. We're going to share priorities for the upcoming year, thank outgoing officers and trustees, elect a new slate of board members, adopt our annual budget, and much more.
I don't know if there's actually much more.
It says, and more.
And more, but you added much.
Much more. Okay, and more. I am starting my adult ed class May 4th, 11th, and 18th on Zoom at 7 p.m., Tracing Jewish Roots, talking about Jewish genealogical roots. If you're interested in creating a family tree, that's part of it. And then there's a second piece to it on May 15th. We're going to Palmetto Cemetery, San Antonio's oldest Jewish cemetery, and that's 1 to 3. So all of those links are online. There's a separate one for the Zoom and for the in-person. Next Shabbat is very exciting because it is our 3rd grade Shabbat. Our 3rd graders are going to receive their own prayer book with their name on the front of it. And we are also going to honor Leah Apothekar for her time at Temple Beth-El as our Director of Congregational Learning. The week after that, May 13th, it is going, our Kol Simcha choir is going to be here, and they're highlighting female composers in honor of Mother's Day. So we have all of these different things. Oh, and Steve, I don't know what and Steve Kovner is offering the Devar on that Friday as well. So all of these things, again, are on the weekly announcements, social media, website, etc., etc. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much,
Usually
Rabbi.
I don't do that until the end.
Yes. Rabbi, our closing song is O Say Shalom on page 353. If you need the words, please rise.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.